All right, so my goal today is to show you guys how to easily solve an equation where you have to find the percent of a number or possibly the percent. Um, Ultimately, these are not hard equations to solve. It's no harder than solving, say, this one here, 3x equals 15, where all you have to do is divide by 3 and you're done. The only kind of catch is the numbers we're working with aren't going to be as user-friendly as 15 divided by 3. So you might want a calculator on these just to expedite things. You can still do every bit of this by hand. So today we're going to focus on setting up the equations and setting them up correctly. And then tomorrow we'll work on actually solving them. So today, just setting these things up. So one thing you'll have to be able to do and do relatively easily in your head, hopefully, is change a decimal into a percent and a percent into a decimal. So if you have a decimal and you want to change that into a percent, you need to move your decimal point 2 places to the right. So starting with 0.45, you move that 2 places to the right, that's 45%. And then vice versa, if you had 45%, you want to change that to a decimal, 2 places to the left, 0.45. It's just a big circle. It goes back and forth, moving to the right, moving to the left, to the left, to the right. It all kind of comes back full circle. So the reason we need to be able to do that is you can't actually do arithmetic with percents. You can't, I don't know how better to say that. You can't do arithmetic with percents, but decimals are manageable, right? We can work with decimals. So to be able to multiply like 45% of a number, you need to be able to change that to 0.45 and then work with it that way. So these problems that we're doing, if you're given a percent, you've got to change it to a decimal. And if you're trying to solve and get a percent as an answer, you'll get a decimal, which you'll have to be able to turn back into a percent. And we'll cover all that when we actually get into the problems. So a couple of things that we need to get out there. This is exactly the type of problem I'm going to throw at you today. 118% of what number is 154? Now, I want you to be able to take that sentence in English and translate it into algebra, which is in essence a second language. So there's a couple of things. The word of, all of these I'm not going to put an equal sign in there too because that'll throw things off. The word of is multiply. So anytime you see the word of, we're going to put in a multiplication symbol. Now, I don't like to use the X for multiplication because we're in an algebra class and people have a tendency to think that is a variable. I also don't like to use the dot because I think it gets overlooked. So I'm going to use parentheses. If I'm multiplying two numbers like 2 times 3, I'm going to put everything in parentheses. So 2 times 3 will be 2 parentheses, 3 parentheses. You can do the dot if you want. For what you're doing for homework, it might be easier just to use parentheses. Okay, so the word of means multiply. The word is an equals. And the word what is our variable. So we've got kind of this key that we're going to use. We're going to take the word of and change it into multiplication. We're going to take the word is and change it into an equal sign. And we're going to take the word what, because what is it? We don't know. That's our variable. So I'm going to take this sentence and I'm going to translate that into an equation. So first of all, 118%. I can't work with, 188%. I can't work with percents, so I'm going to make that 1.88. Of means multiply. What number? I don't know. Is 154. Okay, it's all still there in the same order, left to right, just like you read the sentence. 1.88. That's the 188%. Of what number? So of means multiply. What number? There's your variable. Is your equal sign. And for today, we're done. That's it. Translate it into an equation. Stop. So really what's going to change on these is where the variable is at. It's either going to be one of the numbers at the beginning or it's going to be the number on the end, really wherever that word what is at. So let's try and simplify it even a little bit more. Is my equal sign, what is my variable, and then these two guys are being multiplied, right? The word of means multiply. So I'm going to translate this 168% into 1.68 of 67 is what number? There's your equation. Now that one's going to be super easy to solve because you don't really have to do anything. You just do the math. We'll get to that tomorrow. Okay. 57 is what percent of 79? So same thing. I'm going to start is your equal sign, of is your multiplication. Everything else just kind of drops down. 57 is what percent of 79? So my equation is going to look like this. 57 equals what? I don't know. So x. And then of means multiply 79. Okay? It's kind of ugly. We could rearrange that and kind of clean it up a little bit, but that'll work. These are literal translations. 126 is what percent? I don't know. Of 134. Okay? I could do 100 of these examples, but it's not going to change what you're doing. Literally change the word is into an equal sign. What or what percent, whatever that what expression is, that's your variable. Of is your multiplication.